Krushi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Given the ongoing market uncertainty driven by the tariffs and trade tensions, we felt it was important to connect with you again following the last month's webinar and seminar to share a timely insights and update. Our fund manager, Kartik Mehta, will walk us through the current market landscape and how we are positioning ourselves in the current market volatility. This session will be followed by question and answer. So thank you so much and thank you for being here. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Abhay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for your time. ये जो मार्केट का जो अभी का जो वॉलेटिलिटी है एंड स्पेशली बिकॉज ऑफ द टैरिफ, सो आज का जो सेशन है उसमें हम सारे रिस्क फैक्टर्स, एनर्जी, पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव साइड दोनों हम डिस्कस करेंगे एंड यू विल गेट लॉट ऑफ क्लैरिटी अबाउट द मार्केट डायरेक्शंस गोइंग अहेड. आई विल जस्ट स्टार्ट शेयरिंग द प्रेजेंटेशन विथ यू ऑल. So I'm assuming that it's sort of visible to everyone.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. So what to expect in the Indian context? So if you look at this data, इंडिया का जो ग्लोबली ट्रेड में जो शेयर है गुड्स में या तो फिर सर्विसेज में, सो वी आर वेरी मिनिस्क्यूल. सो इन गुड्स वी आर क्लोज टू 2% ऑफ द ग्लोबल ट्रेड. इन सर्विसेज वी आर स्लाइटली हायर एट 4.8% of the global trade. So we are not very significant part of the global trade, especially from the manufacturing point of view. Now, if you talk in the context of US, so जो ट्रेड सरप्लस होता है वो हमारे केस में है, मतलब हम यूएस से जितना इंपोर्ट करते हैं उससे ज्यादा हम यूएस को एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं. तो जब आपका एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट से ज्यादा होता है उसको ट्रेड सरप्लस बोला जाता है. तो इंडिया का ट्रेड सरप्लस जो यूएस के साथ है $45.7 billion का लास्ट रिपोर्टेड था. सो दिस इज नॉट वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट फ्रॉम US point of view. Yes, we are one of the top 10 countries for the US point of view from the trade surplus point of view. But अगर आप देखें तो major trade surplus is with China, Eurozone, Mexico, Vietnam, and probably Taiwan, Japan. So we are far relatively far lesser. दूसरा क्या है कि जो इंडिया का जो एक्सपोर्ट है उसमें यूएस का कंट्रीब्यूशन कुछ 16-17% है या 18% है. सो फॉर अस द यूएस इज अ वेरी बिग मार्केट बिकॉज आपका $100 का एक्सपोर्ट है, उसका $100 का एक्सपोर्ट है, तो उसका लेट्स से $18 इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द यूएस इटसेल्फ. सो वी नीड टू हैंडल इट वेरी केयरफुली एंड दैट्स व्हाट द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग एज वेल. However, in the case of US जो import करता है उसमें इंडिया का एक्सपोर्ट का कंट्रीब्यूशन जस्ट 2.7% है. सो विच इज वेरी टाइनी फ्रॉम द आईज ऑफ द यूएस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एंड आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाई we are not significantly targeted to that extent because in their total import bill we are just 2.7% contributing. That's it. Now, if you look at the tariff structure, so US जो इंडिया से इंपोर्ट करता है उसके ऊपर 3% टैरिफ लगाता है एंड इंडिया जो यूएस से कोई भी चीज इंपोर्ट करता है उसके ऊपर वेटेड एवरेज 9.5% टैरिफ लगाता है. सो नेचुरली वी आर टैरिफ पुटिंग हाई टैरिफ ऑन द यूएस एंड दैट्स व्हाट यूएस वांट्स टू रिवर्स इट एंड रेसिप्रोकेट इट. Now, if you look at these line items, let's say smartphones. So India exports roughly $7 million worth of smartphones to US. In the case of pharma, we export roughly close to $9 billion. So if you look at pharma, the major countries are not Asian except Singapore or for that matter, there is no other major country. All are Europeans or likewise. So my sense is that these two segments have been exempted as of now because of the obvious reason of sudden shortages and price spike and all. Even if they were to put the tariffs on these sectors, it would not be very significantly higher, given the fact that जैसे इंडिया यूएस में जो टैबलेट सप्लाई करता है तो हर चौथी गोली इंडिया में बनी हुई होती है. सो दैट्स एवरी फोर्थ टैबलेट इन यूएस इज बीइंग मैन्युफैक्चर्ड एंड प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय इंडिया. एंड वी आर मेजरली इनटू जेनेरिक पार्ट ऑफ द फार्मास्यूटिकल वैल्यू चेन, जहाँ पे ऑलरेडी प्राइस काफी टूटे हुए हैं. पिछले मल्टीपल ईयर्स में प्राइस इरोजन हुआ है and that helps reducing their healthcare expenditure substantially, which is anyways very very high. So now if they were to put a very high tariff, then certainly what our interaction with certain pharmaceutical companies is that there will be few products completely going out of the shelf, because it is not viable to produce medicines and supply to US, which is already price sensitive market, at a very high tariff rate. So few products will be out of the market, few products will be still going with some negotiation with the procurement person in US. So likewise, it will not be a smooth journey for US as well, and it will have a very high chaotic situation eventually, which even they don't want. Will it lead to, let's say, eventually global pharmaceutical companies will set up the factories in USA, because US eventually wants that. It will happen over the period of time. It is structural going to be, but it's not going to happen overnight or in the next immediate couple of years. So because it takes a lot of time and energy to develop the plant and factory, and get approval, and finally your cost has to be matching with the existing suppliers. So that's what is there. Then there is a third segment, gems and jewelry, जहाँ पे इंडिया का export contribution is 9%, और जहाँ पे reciprocal tariff अभी 90 days का window है. So as of now there is no tariff, but they have proposed a 10%. Textile is $11 billion, again a 10% reciprocal tariff. Likewise, machinery, chemicals, plastic, rubber, paper, and agriculture. So आप clearly आप देखोगे तो from the listed universe point of view, let's say pharma and textile and certain segments of machinery will be impacted from the listed stock market point of view. But वहाँ पे भी मुझे लगता है कि काफी चीजें already priced in and discounted है. Secondly, हम हमारे टैरिफ देखते हैं, लेकिन हमारे जो एडजॉइंग नेशन है या तो कंपीटिंग कंट्रीज है, उसके टैरिफ भी देखने चाहिए. अगर सबके एक जैसे बढ़ते हैं तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर किसी का बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ता है, जो केस था, जैसे वियतनाम का बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ा था, बांग्लादेश का बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ा था और हमारा कम था, सो विच इज इन अ फेवर. So basically, I think this entire tariff saga is going to help India substantially in the coming years, and we have a golden opportunity to encash these as a country. I hope that our manufacturers will pay a lot of attention, and government takes an active role in this aspect to create another opportunity for the country, because manufacturing is, as a part of the GDP, is 15%, and for God's sake, it's many years that this number hasn't moved substantially. So this is the right time that we try to be with little aggressive in terms of ensuring that the good trade deal with the US, and we try to capture some market share from the competitive countries. ये हमने मैसेज डाला था जब निफ्टी रिसेंटली 800 पॉइंट गिरा था. ऑन द फर्स्ट डे न्यूज आया था, इट वाज अ टैरिफ बॉम्ब डे अकॉर्डिंग टू अस, जहां पे उन्होंने सारे कंट्रीज के ऊपर सब्सटेंशियल टैरिफ्स डाले थे, इंक्लूडिंग इंडिया 26-27%. सो यहाँ पे यहाँ पे हमारा ऐसा मानना था, ऑन दैट डे वी मेंशन दैट मार्केट मार्केट करेक्शंस आर ऑलवेज अनकंफर्टेबल. मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि श्योरिटी ऑफ द मार्केट और अनसर्टेनिटी, श्योरिटी ऑफ द अनसर्टेनिटी एंड एट्रैक्टिव स्टॉक प्राइसेस, दोनों आपको एक साथ नहीं मिलेगा. या तो आपको एट्रैक्टिव स्टॉक प्राइसेस मिलेगा विद अनसर्टेनिटी, और या तो फिर श्योरिटी के साथ आपको फिर मैच्योर्ड स्टॉक प्राइसेस मिलेंगे. सो ये जो एस्पेक्ट है ना, वो बहुत क्लियर है हम सबके लिए, एंड वी एनकैश्ड that opportunity, and we communicated to all our clients about this, that why we are not worried about this tariff, and whatever fall, 800 point nifty fall today is not going to be a problematic anymore. सो पहले हम बात करते हैं, इंडिया में दो तरह का करेक्शन हुआ है स्टॉक प्राइसेस में. एक इंडिया सेंट्रिक, जो भारत का अपना प्रॉब्लम था. दूसरा ग्लोबल. नाउ भारत का जो प्रॉब्लम था, फर्स्ट वाज आफ्टर द इलेक्शन, सेंट्रल इलेक्शन, गवर्नमेंट एक्चुअली वेंट वेरी बिजी विद द देयर इज अ बैकग्राउंड नॉइज. कैन एनीवन प्लीज म्यूट द कंप्यूटर?
આ જાય છે આપની પાસે. હવે એમાં શું છે, ટેક્સ સિઝન છે ને, આપની તિજોરી આવે છે.
ચિરાગ ભાઈ, you have to mute your computer.
છે સ્ટોકમાં ગોડાઉન પર જોવાનું છે એવું છે. હા.
Yeah, thank you. So पहला जो इंडिया सेंट्रिक जो प्रॉब्लम था, वो आफ्टर द
टैक्स सिजन केयर अपने पास स्टॉक में पड़ी है गोडाउन में.
जस्ट अ मिनट.
टैक्स सिजन सेव आती है ना अपनी एनएक्स
Abhay, can you please tell Chirag bhai to...
Yes, sir. Give me 2 minutes. Sir, he's on mute. You can start now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. So after the central election, government went very busy with the state elections and other thing. So हमारे यहाँ जो गवर्नमेंट का कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर का नंबर था वो सब्सटेंशियली ड्रॉप हुआ और ये बजट में हमने देखा कि ईयर ऑन ईयर वो नंबर में कोई ग्रोथ आया ही नहीं। दूसरा मॉनेटरी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, एक तो ये फिस्कल था कि भाई गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग बहुत कम हो गई थी। दूसरा मॉनेटरी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, मॉनेटरी टाइटनिंग बहुत हुआ इन द सेंस कि 2022 से अक्टूबर 22 से अक्टूबर 24 2 साल तक हमारा जो करेंसी था वो एक ही रेट के आजू बाजू ±0.2% ईयर एंड देयर टिका हुआ था। वो कैसे टिका हुआ 2 साल तक इतना स्टेबिलिटी रहा? बिकॉज जो करेंसी ईयरली 3-3.5% से डेप्रिशिएट होती है यूएस के सामने, वो 2 साल तक नहीं हुई। So RBI kept on selling dollar and kept on buying the rupee. So that ultimately led to the entire liquidity got sucked out of the system, and somehow there was a huge liquidity crunch, and which led to very sharp monetary tightening. ये दो रीजन की वजह से अपने यहाँ ग्रोथ मॉडरेट होना चालू हुआ। उसके साथ साथ वैल्यूएशंस कुछ कुछ पॉकेट्स में बहुत ज्यादा थे, and market was heavily lopsidedly valued in certain sectors and pockets. So for example, at the peak of the market, we highlighted very high risk for PSCs, and especially the defense, railway and other segments, and capital goods and engineering, which actually went very well, and we highlighted it timely to all our investors that risk is very high. सिमिलरली ये जो सारे इश्यूज है वो अल्टीमेटली रिवर्स हो गए। जो डोमेस्टिकली जो चैलेंज आया था ना मार्केट में, वो रिवर्स हो गया। पहला तो गवर्नमेंट ने जो कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर जो म्यूटेड था वो रिज्यूम कर लिया, इट हैज स्टार्टेड इंक्रीजिंग ग्रेजुअली। सेकेंडली, government has also given a tax benefit to the individual investors, individual taxpayers, and the अपना जो पर्सनल इनकम टैक्स का जो नंबर है उसमें राहत आई है। सो दैट विल गिव एटलीस्ट 4-5 लाख करोड़ ऑफ मनी सर्कुलेशन टू द सिस्टम इवेंचुअली। तीसरा, गवर्नमेंट आरबीआई ने मॉनेटरी टाइटनिंग का रिवर्स करना चालू किया है। जैसे उन्होंने इंटरेस्ट रेट काटे हैं 2 बार, उन्होंने ओएमओ, ओपन मार्केट ऑपरेशन, माने बहुत ज्यादा लिक्विडिटी इंजेक्ट की सिस्टम में, एंड अभी भी थोड़ा सा माहौल बेटर हुआ है, लेकिन अभी भी देयर इज स्कोप फॉर फर्दर ओएमओ। So the after the change of the new governor at RBI, entire perspective got changed, and suddenly the rupee also depreciated. So I think most of the things domestically जो induced थे, जो growth को कम कर रहा था, वो reverse हो गया है। So मेरे हिसाब से growth will bounce back, GDP point of view as well as earning upgrades point of view. It's just a matter of one more quarter, and from first quarter onwards, next fiscal, we'll gradually start seeing the green shoots in all aspects of the Indian GDP point of view. Now, जो सेकंड इश्यू जो था डोमेस्टिकली छोड़ के, वो था यूएस मार्केट का, जो सेकंड पार्ट था जिसकी वजह से मार्केट गिरा। सो टैरिफ सबको मालूम था आएंगे, लेकिन इतने ज्यादा आएंगे एक ही साथ में सारे कंट्रीज पे आएंगे, वो किसी को नहीं मालूम था। बट मेरे हिसाब से सबसे बेस्ट हो गया, बिकॉज मार्केट को जो भी अनसर्टिनिटी है वो पहले ही दिन पता चल गई। ऐसा नहीं होना था जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल दे वुड हैव पुट 10% टैरिफ ऑन इंडिया, फिर उसको बढ़ा के 15-20 किया, फिर 25 करते, तो मार्केट को बहुत नेगेटिव लगता था। लेकिन स्ट्रेट अवे दे स्टार्टेड विद 26%, स्ट्रेट अवे दे स्टार्टेड विद 46% फॉर वियतनाम फॉर एग्जांपल। सो फॉर एवरी कंट्री दे स्टार्टेड विद अ ह्यूज अमाउंट, सो दैट द नी जग रिएक्शन जो जॉल्ट आना था वो आ गया, लेकिन मार्केट गॉट प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर दैट। इट इज जस्ट लाइक अ कोविड। आप सोचो, फर्स्ट वेव ऑफ द कोविड में मार्केट बहुत गिरा, सेकंड वेव में मार्केट इतना नहीं गिरा, एंड थर्ड वेव में कोई इफेक्ट ही नहीं आया, बिकॉज मार्केट कैन नॉट डिस्काउंट सेम न्यूज अगेन एंड अगेन। So, once these tariffs have been announced, now they have given a 90-day window. Again, they will be coming back. तो वो second wave of COVID जैसा होगा 90 days के बाद। उसमें फिर नेगोशिएशन होगा, फिर थोड़ा सा वापस आएगा, वो थर्ड वेव ऑफ कोविड जैसा होगा। सो बेसिकली फॉर द सेम न्यूज अगेन एंड अगेन, आई डोंट थिंक द मार्केट विल रिएक्ट नेगेटिवली। सो जो हमको वो दिन को जो देखने को मिला, ऐसा रिएक्शन अभी नहीं देखने को मिलेगा। Anyways, from the India point of view, as I said, the India is a consumption-oriented economy. So domestic household consumption is 65% of the GDP. Exports are just 2% of the GDP, and gross fixed capital formation is 33% of the GDP. So we don't have to worry too much for that. Now, you know what at Credence we are responding. So we have already aligned our position, our portfolio in the sectors which are less exposed to the tariff thing. And this market dip has given us a great chance to look out for the quality stocks where the valuations have corrected. But their earning growths are remaining very strong. दूसरा एक इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट जो हमेशा मैं बोलता हूँ कि इंडिया का पर कैपिटा इनकम इज क्लोज टू $2,700. वी आर एट द थ्रेशोल्ड ऑफ द जे काउ. From here on, gradually we would have a much higher addition of the per capita income versus the previous years. So, यहाँ से next 10-15 years की जर्नी बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाली है. These few countries have already experienced that in the past. Of course, they are very big now, like, developed market. But even in the case of emerging markets like, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Mexico, Brazil. So they have seen that journey and the stock markets have rewarded them significantly. Sorry. So we are actively identifying the promising companies where prices have corrected, fundamentals are strong. Excuse me, please. जब भी मार्केट में करेक्शन आता है ना, तब हम वो पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट पे काफी डरते हैं, लेकिन हम जब रियर व्यू मिरर में देखते हैं तो हम यही बोलते हैं, काश मैंने ये लेवल पे मार्केट में पैसा डाला. आई थिंक दैट टाइम पेनफुल होता है, चैलेंजिंग होता है, अनसर्टिनिटी होता है, लेकिन वही टाइम पे आपका अच्छा इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी होता है. तो हम आपको बार बार यही रिपीट करेंगे और हमारी ड्यूटी काफी इंपॉर्टेंट होती है कि हम आपको हर लेवल पे इन्फॉर्म करें. Can you please excuse me for 1 or 2 minutes, please? Please, everyone, continue online. Everyone, thank you for your patience. Now let's talk about. So यहाँ से मेरा जो एक फाइनल कमेंट ये था यहाँ से कि जो हमने सेमिनार किया था, वेबिनार भी किया था मार्केट बॉटम पे, तब हमने बोला था कि यहाँ से एफआई का बड़ा पैसा इमर्जिंग मार्केट में आना चालू हो जाएगा. इंडिया विल बी पार्ट ऑफ दैट. वो होना चालू हो गया है. हमने ये बोला था कि मार्केट रिकवरी विल नॉट बी ब्रॉड बेस्ड, इट विल बी वेरी सिलेक्टिव. वो भी होना चालू हो गया है. हमने ये भी बोला था कि सबके पोर्टफोलियो इक्वली रिवॉर्डिंग नहीं होंगे. काफी स्टॉक्स बिल्कुल ही पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करेंगे या मिनिमम पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे. काफी स्टॉक सिग्निफिकेंटली आउट परफॉर्म करेंगे. वो भी हुआ. जस्ट टू गिव यू पर्सपेक्टिव, निफ्टी फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज हैज हिट ऑल टाइम हाई. बैंक निफ्टी इज अबाउट टू हिट ऑल टाइम हाई, whereas Nifty IT services is actually 40% away from making all-time high. See, that's a classic example of the very selective market. So this is what we highlighted. Exactly everything is happening as per what we predicted. Now, we'll just move to the next slide about our funds and how we have performed for the full year. So this is all-weather fund. These are the top 10 holdings, which is you're already you know it very well. So there are three major sectors in the market where we are highly convinced. One is your healthcare, second is your consumption, and third is BFSI, and fourth is cement, and otherwise rest are stock specific things. So large cap including cash is close to 53% of the portfolio. Diversified fund, again, these are the top 10 holdings for you to look at. Again, these three sectors are pretty heavy, consumption, BFSI, and healthcare. And large cap is close to 48%, including cash level. Business cycle fund as a tendency, it has got a lesser number of large cap weightage wise. It has more of a mid and small cap because of the nature of the fund. Here, again, healthcare, consumption, and BFSI is pretty heavy, followed by other stock bottom up ideas. ICE fund, when we launched the product, market was already at the peak. We knew it that markets are not conducive for investors. We highlighted the very high risk to the investors at the time of raising the fund. We told them that okay, आप मुझे 100 रुपया दोगे, हम 20 रुपया इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, 80 रुपया हम नया फंड वेल्थ प्रिजर्व करके लिक्विड प्रोडक्ट में डालेंगे, और धीरे धीरे जैसे मार्केट अट्रैक्टिव होगा हम पार्टिसिपेट करते जाएंगे. You have to just trust us. And I'm very happy to share that we got a tremendous response from the investors, and they knew that we are not going to deploy at a stage, so that gave them a lot of confidence on our thought process and theory. There were a few investors who said that okay, I don't want to take time like this, I just want to invest 100% to the eyes and no wealth preserve. We respected that as well. But by and large, 95% of the investors followed this principle. So this is there in front of you. We started with a very high level of market. And if you look at the ICE investment ratio of 20% and wealth preserve investment ratio 80%. So 100 रुपए का split इस तरह से था. As and when Nifty started falling gradually from 25,000, 26, 25,000 to, we first deployed at 23,500 odd levels, then followed by 23,000 and as low as 22,000. So right now this equation is totally reverse. 75% is invested and 25% is with the wealth preserve. So we actually captured the entire down journey of the market, and we actually, to be honest, we saved a lot of money for the investors otherwise. These are the top 10 stocks of the portfolio. They would be quite different than the other funds. Large cap is this is again a different nature of the product. So unlike all weather or diversified here, the large cap is again less. It is more of a mid and small cap. That's how the formation is. Now, if you look at the returns, so FY 21-22, I will start from left to right. We just launched the product and we were about to invest gradually. So market ran up a lot. So we didn't get enough time because we just started in June, July, and gradually started deploying. And before that only, the market had a sharp rally. But the entire portfolio got constructed from 23 onwards, where we generated 4.57% alpha. In 24, we generated 7.81% alpha. And 24-25, we are negative alpha 4.87%, predominantly because of our thought process during the first quarter before election. We went on a substantial defensive holdings and cash level because we were worried about the outcome of the election, and we thought that it's a very huge risk which investors are not yet discounting. If come true, it would be disastrous for anyone to hold 100% investment level. Or we took out our money from the pro Modi sectors and stocks pretty early, I think by end of April, and entire May and first week of June was highly painful for us because that things kept on running up. And finally, when the election outcome came, Nifty fell down by 2,000 intraday points. But eventually, because of the thin majority, market bounced back. So, we were not wrong in our assessment because entire market was discounting 300 plus seats, and somehow it didn't materialize. So अगर वो रिस्क प्ले होता तो हमारा सिचुएशन अलग था. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी दैट दैट रिस्क डिडंट प्ले आउट, and we tried to catch up in the subsequent months, but the first damage was pretty strong. So rest assured, this is the genuine reason. Otherwise, we have been more or less doing much better than the markets, and we are on a track to recover it this year. In the case of diversified fund, the first year was as a launching period time, cooling zone, you can say. FY23, 4.33% alpha. Last FY24, 14.68% alpha. And last year has been just like all weather, a negative alpha of 2.81%. Nevertheless, since inception, the fund is outperforming by 3.32%. Business cycle fund is very recently launched, 1 year plus. So 1 year returns are 10.60 versus 6.65. Since inception, the fund is up slightly higher to the benchmark by 1.5%, roundabout. So here also, when we started the fund and we created a position in a pharmaceutical and allied sector, for few months, the market didn't, 4 or 5 months, market didn't respected that. And eventually, as the name of the fund indicates, we have to capture the valuations at a lower level before market assumes that the earnings are going to come back. We have to be seated in the position. So we took that initial pains, but then the reward has been significant, and the fund has bounced back significantly. ICE fund is very recently we launched this October. So it since inception, these are the combined returns of ICE and Wealth Preserve together. So if you look at that, it's a phenomenal wealth prevention, erosion prevention. For example, the markets are down close to 12%. Fund is down just 3.5%. So, we have saved a lot of money. We are very happy for that. And now, since we have invested at almost at the attractive levels, I think in upward journey, we would be able to reaping the benefits definitely out of it. Now, if you look at from the all-time high, actually, our all-weather fund fell lesser than the market fall. So we did better. In the case of diversified also, we did better than the market fall. So dark blue is our return and light blue is the market returns. And same is with BCF. And of course, with the ICE and Wealth Prism combined, we fell much lesser than the market fall. So now cash levels, if you talk about Q1, Q2, Q3, if you see, we kept on increasing cash. In Q4, we started deploying it post budget and then predominantly in the March. And the current cash levels are just 3.7%. We took the advantage of the market uncertainty related to tariff and all, and we entered at an appropriate level at the lower levels. Same is with diversified, the cash level we kept on increasing, looking at the challenging market, and actually this cash level helped us. And now we are back to 3% cash level. In the business cycle fund also, the same thing happened. We kept on increasing cash and finally it is 7.7%. So now on the markets, let me tell you one thing. We are this year Nifty should do roughly 1065 to 1070 rupees EPS. That is FY25. Based upon FY26, assuming just 10% earning growth, which I think is doable. And if you apply 18 times, we are looking at a downside of 21,240. We went as low as 21,800 or slightly lesser than that. So, our और मैंने आपको सेमिनार में भी बोला था, वेबिनार जो लास्ट किया था उसमें भी बोला था दैट 21,800, 21,500, 21,300, 22,000 जो भी लेवल आता है तो 21 से 22 के बीच में जबरदस्त अपॉर्चुनिटी आएगा उसमें पैसे लगाना. एंड for the next 12 months, the upside is looking capped at 25,960. And if you extend it for another 6 months to 8 months, so and you discount FY27 earnings, then in that case, 27,000 Nifty levels are visible. So basically, यहाँ से आपका अभी 23,800 का Nifty है. I think some cool off might come. And that would be again giving some opportunity if anyone has missed in the past to go long. This market is definitely buy on dips market for us. We were negative, we were cautious, we raised cash level, we alarmed our investors. We launched the product and we did a brave marketing of not going for investment and piling up on the cash level, which was actually questioned by few investors that why are you here to ask for money? Then we said that if you do it by yourself, you'll be burning a lot, and we would definitely not only preserve your capital, but we'll capture the downside very well. That's what exactly we did. सो वो एरा और वो फेस खत्म हो गया. नाउ वी हैव स्टार्टेड बिकमिंग कंस्ट्रक्टिव, looking at the last budget as well as looking at the certain pockets of the market which have become really value. And also there is likelihood of the earning revival from Q1 next fiscal onwards. ग्लोबली इंडिया का स्ट्रेटेजिक एडवांटेज बहुत है. वी हैव नॉट पोजीशन आवरसेल्फ विद चाइना और विद यूएस. वी आर ऑलवेज इन बिटवीन. सो दैट इज द ग्रेट स्ट्रेटेजिक एडवांटेज यू हैव. Everybody would try to be sided with you and you get the benefit out of it. There is nothing wrong with this strategy. I really appreciate that strategy is really working out well. Uh, Emerging market should keep on getting inflow, and India should continue to get the inflow out of that. Chinese market revived in between, but now again because of the tariff and all, the growth over there should also substantially slow down. The and there has been some recent outflow from the Chinese markets as well. सो जो एक इनफ्लो गया था सब्सटेंशियली चाइनीज मार्केट में, क्योंकि 20 साल का रिटर्न फ्लैट रिटर्न था. मतलब चाइनीज मार्केट डिडंट जनरेट एनी मनी फॉर द लास्ट 20 years. So people found value, people entered there, but somehow again they are not convinced given this uncertainty, and it's a fight between two big countries. And we as India has a strategic advantage. We are going to take it substantially. That's what our thought process is. And with that note, I think that मैंने आपके सारे क्वेश्चंस बाय एंड लार्ज आंसर किए हैं. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि यहाँ से जो भी गिरावट आती है उसमें बी ब्रेव, फेस द म्यूजिक एंड एंजॉय इट. बिकॉज यहाँ से आने वाले 1.5-2 साल में इवेंचुअली मार्केट बढ़ता दिख रहा है, ना कि घटता दिखता है. रिस्क फैक्टर्स है, यूएस रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ वापिस आ जाएंगे. But as I said, it would be just like a second wave of the COVID. It may not be as severe as the market may not be reacting as significantly negative as the first time. But yes, these tariffs would lead to declining global growth rate. There is a risk of stagflation, which is more worrisome. And geopolitical uncertainty, like अभी कभी ईरान पे बातें चालू होती है कि they might if there is no treaty, nuclear treaty, then the Iran would be invaded as well. So we will have to continue investing with these uncertainties. As far as India is concerned, if we do not have any direct war, then the markets are looking pretty good to me. And looking at these global risk factors, domestically things are pretty okay. Monsoon forecast initially has been good. So I don't think major things are going to affect us domestically. Internationally, things are there, but given our size of the export numbers and given our ability to negotiate it well, I don't think we are going to have a substantial problem from that context. This is the last point. At the bottom of the market, we did the seminars as well as webinar to all our investors, and we highlighted strongly to invest in the lump sum money. Again, when the market, and we clearly told them that there will be one more dip coming up, which is exactly which has happened after some time post this COVID bomb. Sorry, the tariff bomb. And on that day also we circulated message on WhatsApp to all our investors that this is the time to put money. So yeah, we'll keep on reminding you both on the both side. When there's a froth, of course, we'll also say that markets are not looking healthy. And when there is juicy levels, we'll always say that, okay, markets are looking attractive, put your money in. So with that, I would just like to conclude. I request everyone to ask the question. With best of my ability, I will try to answer it. Please write your questions in the chat box, and I'll try to answer it. Yeah, so first question is coming. What is your view on US markets? Do you think Nasdaq has bottomed out? Does it make sense to start investing in US tech stocks? Uh, we were very, very apprehensive about the US market. We told many times in the past that this market has to fall. So that has actually happened. Now, I don't think that US markets are going to break the recent lows because market actually discounted that tariff bomb very aggressively on the first 3 4 days. So at the best, US market will retest those low like what we did in the context of Nifty, and then US market will settle somewhere and then gradual up move will come. But mind you, this is a global theme now, which global trade theme which is happening, and this is what I can envisage is that the money actually, between 2010 to 2024, the money actually went out of the emerging market to the developed market. My sense is that the money will eventually come from developed market to emerging market, and hence you will have a better returns over here. Number one. Number two, US market is now a trading market. So if you can capture the previous bottom area, just go long there, and then after some run up you can exit as well. Uh, Reason I'm saying is that US is roughly 20 of global market cap after the fall, and it is just 38% of the global profit pool. So it's very lopsided, and last 10 15 years the money has actually gone too much into the US assets. The way bond yields are behaving over there, it clearly signals that if the tariffs are not handled well, there might be a deep recession. So with that risk factor, you have to trade in the US market, not the invest. So that's the clear answer to your question. What is your view on IT sector? See, we were very cautious, and whatever position we held into IT names, we exited most of them very timely, uh, very early. So my sense is that we have seen the results of TCS, we have seen the results of Wipro. They are pretty self-explanatory. Growth is tapering down for sure. And if you look at IT stocks performance, stock price point of view, pre-COVID and post-COVID. So post-COVID, one thing has happened. Initial deal wins and initial earning momentum because of the shift towards digital, but valuation multiple expanded significantly post-COVID. Now the growth rate of the companies is now going back to the pre-COVID era. So basically, आपका pre-COVID जितना growth आता था उतना growth चालू हो गया आने का. लेकिन post-COVID valuations are pretty higher than pre-COVID, वो अभी नहीं हुए हैं. So naturally, either there'll be time correction or there'll be value correction. There'll be both. So for me, IT is a sell on rise sector as of now, unless and until we see a clear-cut green shoots on the ground. Let's say US markets, US economy has stabilized, and there is a clarity, and also certain commentary from the management about the deal wins and other things. So if that doesn't materialize on time, till then we would be very, very apprehensive about the exposure, and we would not be very constructive until then. So that's what my answer is. Can market touch 21,700 again? Or there are chances that market can go to 21,000 to 20,000? जैसे मैंने आगे बोला था, मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस ऐसा है कि 21,000 से 22,000 की निफ्टी के बीच में मार्केट कहीं पे भी बॉटम आउट होगा. 2 times it has bottomed out closer to 21,700. Even if there is substantial negative news, I think the 21,000 level should be protected, because the valuations would really become very, very attractive at that point of time, unless and until there is something very, very catastrophic from the just India's point of view. If it is from the global perspective and the same reasons, I don't think markets are going to go there. Your view on the cement sector for the ICE fund? Cement sector. So question is that where the stocks have corrected. Okay, I'm just trying to understand the question, but the answer is that uh, we are getting positive on the cement after a long time, and we have exposure to the cement stock across the funds except ICE, because ICE is a different thought process fund, and it has other parts from the investment pillar, but not cement. But yes, we are positive on the cement, and I think that uh, uh, valuations are going to become reasonable. They are not very reasonable, but numbers will be coming in a coming coming years. And I think that as a sector, this sector can surprise market positively. That's what our view is. Will auto market be a good bet for next few years? I think we have to be slightly neutral to negative for the auto sector. Given that the competition has intensified and demand is not yet picking up. Also, ancillaries point of view, I think there are few ancillaries which are very attractively priced. Otherwise, OEMs are not that, looking that great to us. There might be a few pockets where, the companies which are exposed to the US market, and now if the trade tariff thing settles eventually, then those companies will do much better from the US point of view. So we have to look at these kind of companies which are actually beaten down, very strong balance sheet, good promoters. That are the pockets in the auto side we would like to look at. Okay. Large caps are doing better on the bounce back, whereas funds like Business Cycle and ICE have a exposure to small cap. What is your view? Uh, I think if you look at the returns of those funds, they have been in line with the markets. So it's not that they've underperformed. Uh, of course, large caps have been doing relatively better recently, and that's what we also highlighted, and that's why we increased the exposure to the large cap in certain funds. But my thing is that whatever mid and small cap we are owning, we are totally going by the earnings, and the predictability is very strong. We don't think that when I said it is a stock pickers market and it will be very selective up move than the broader market recovery, that doesn't mean that the mid and small cap will not participate. I said that from the context of the जो broader market का rally हुआ था और जो बड़ा froth आया था वैसा नहीं होगा. There will be selective participation not only from the large cap, also from the mid and small cap. So you will have a recovery in a good names for sure in the coming quarters. But it will not be broad-based recovery, and which is evident from the recent market behavior. There's a question about why do we have churning? So basically, sir, it's not about our conviction or not. It is about how best we can protect the money. At times you think that markets are environment is good and you want to participate. But recently, if you see, because of these multiple reasons, markets crashed and corrected, and we basically wanted to time it well, so we increased the cash level and we redeployed it back. So basically, this exercise is looking like you can see that there is a churning, but it was in the interest of the investor to go on the cash and redeploy it back. If you don't do that, then you won't be able to save yourself from the breath of the market. So that's what, and we highlighted that in our presentation that we increased the cash, so there was a churning, and then we redeploy back. So there is also churning for that. So you can probably sense because of that, but that's the answer to your question. Okay, there is a question about gold and silver. I think as of now the gold is clearly taking a lot of getting a lot of attention from the investors for two major reasons. One is that it's a safe haven, and uncertainties are generally not liked by the market, and people would go for gold. Secondly, if the tariff would cause for a very high inflation, then also the gold is hedged for that. And thirdly, people don't want to put money incrementally, especially when I say people, in the sense the global central banks in the world around other countries. So they don't want to put too much of the money into the US treasuries, and rather there are few countries who are actually reducing their exposure to US treasuries, and as a result of that, that money is also getting parked into gold. So now too many hands are chasing the gold, and that's why the gold prices are actually going up much faster. My sense is that it's slightly entering into the territory where initial level of froth is visible. So I would advise caution here to the investors that don't chase it now. Uh, on the contrary, silver is still looking okay. Any small correction should be utilized to go long in silver. I think so. But gold, you need to be relatively cautious from this price point of view. Which sectors can be focused for next 1 or 2 year? So, sir, this this market is very dynamic. I just gave the example of that IT sector is now 40% away from making all-time high, and financial services, which actually underperformed for the last 2-3 years, has made the new all-time high. So you have to deal with the market dynamics carefully. As of now, given the present context, it looks like that BFSI as a sector should do much better. Any correction should be utilized to buy that pocket. Second is consumption. We think that the worst is almost behind, and the numbers will gradually start picking up from Q1 onwards. Third is we are very constructive on the CDMO side of the pharmaceutical, where we think that the earning growth will be far more superior compared to their last 3 years history. Fourth is the cement. So these are the four sectors and pockets we think that one can take exposure, and then there are bottom-up ideas. View on the defense sector. I think it's not, I'm not negative on defense anymore, which I was earlier, and we highlighted a very high risk factors. They can be looked upon from the investment point of view, because if you look at the global map, there are four countries which are clearly getting attention from the rest of the countries. So one is, of course, US, second is China, third is Russia, and fourth is India. Why is it so? Because of the one fact that their military capabilities, their defense capabilities are far superior. So India is actually leapfrogging that, and we would be exporting a lot of defense material to the countries which would be needing it a lot. And since US has already indicated that I'm not interested in supporting, aiding, and providing help to the other countries, especially for war and all, so you have to try, you work hard to defend yourself. So in that context, I think there is a humongous opportunity for us, and let's see how it pans out. But at the current level, most of the defense stocks looks like have made a decent bottom, and it should sustain those levels and gradually probably pick up from the year on. So do you think that defense as a sector can be the one of the best performing sector for the next 2 year time period? I don't think one of the best, but it would still be a decent sector, because valuations are not really very, very cheap there, but the business visibility and growth aspect is pretty strong. So, and most of the defense companies are sitting on a very high base of the, last year's margins and the revenue growth. So on top of that, if it would be difficult for them to have a sustainably high growth rate. So in that context, it's a slow and steady recovery sort of a segment, but certainly not in a negative watch list for me like others. And I would be keenly observing that sector from the investing point of view. Crude has been at the bottom. What is your view on the same? So crude is all about geopolitical factors. My sense is that it would not be viable for a crude to remain below $50 substantially, because of the fact that any production facilities goes off the production. At the same time, it would not be able to cross higher levels above 80 because of the very high substitution risk, and also, you know, other revenues are there which can, replace. So that's what the substitute. And also the global growth is not very conducive for a crude to go up substantially. So it is going to be in a range, and from the India's point of view, it's very sweet range. Anything between 60 to 80 or 60 to 85 is excellent for the country. I'll just scan through the questions once again, that if anyone has asked and I'm yet to answer it. In the meantime, keep flowing your questions, please. Anyone has any questions, please go ahead. We still have a time, I can answer them. Okay, what is your view on the pharma sector? We are positive on pharma, but only in a CDMO side, not on a generic side. So, the companies which are into generics pockets, like, Sun Pharma, Lupin, Dr. Reddy and all, we are not very bullish on them. We are selectively bullish on CDMO side, and we think that there is a huge opportunity for them to, double, triple their revenue and profit in coming years. So yeah, so that's the answer for the pharma sector. What is the target return which is expected in each fund? So we don't give any target for the funds, but I can tell you one thing, that markets are looking decent. We shouldn't be expecting Nifty to deliver more than 10-11% return this year, which is still okay. And हमारे साथ में क्या होता है ना, हम रिसेंसी बायस में बहुत आ जाते हैं, तो पिछले 3-4 साल की तेजी को ही कंसिडर करके एक्सट्रापोलेट करते हैं. बट इफ यू लुक एट द लॉन्गर टर्म रिटर्न्स, दे आर नॉट सिग्निफिकेंटली हायर द वे मार्केट में जो लोग सोचते हैं और जो परसीव करते हैं, और स्पेशली पिछले 2-3 साल में जो पैसा बना है उसको बेस में रख के जजमेंट मत लेना. So, and we would be very candid in our opinion. We would never like to misguide you. So what we think, that the market as a Nifty 10% sort of a return this year, and further, so basically 27,000 level in 18 to 20 month is a doable number from the current level. So obviously we will try our best to generate return higher than the market returns, and if few of our bets or the invested pockets really generates good alpha, that would be additional advantage. So that's what the answer is. Okay, there is a question that what is about market related shares. So I'm just trying to assume that gentleman is talking about platform businesses like MCX, BSE, or CDSL likewise. So I think that it's very volatile pocket as of now. I would be cautiously optimistic. I'm not 100% negative now, which I was at the top. But at the same time, I'm not 100% positive as well. So I would be going very selective in one or two name, but not that क्या पूरा pocket अच्छा लगता है और ले लेना चाहिए. But yes, अगर आप 3-4 साल के horizon से देखते हैं तो again ये pocket एक attractive level पे आता है तो लेना ही चाहिए, because it's a structural theme. Equity exposure of the Indian population is very less. It's only going to increase eventually. And these market related platforms and other businesses are going to thrive on that. And structurally, financialization of the saving or financialization of the hard assets to the financial asset, and within the financial asset also exposure to equity and all, is structurally going to increase among the youngsters and Gen Z eventually. So that theme per se is very strong structural theme. Just a temporary blip is there because of the overvaluation and some correction. So stay invested if you are investor for long term. No problem with that. What is your view on the government capex infra PSU sectors? I think the capex is slowly picking up, but the problem with most of the capex or capital goods sector is that the base is way too high. So the next couple of quarters, the numbers would be looking very challenging on YOY basis because of the high base of the last year. They received substantially higher order inflow. There was a very high EBITDA margin expansion. There was a huge revenue growth and the profit execution. So on that high base, I think the numbers would look challenging. Market knows it that numbers are looking challenging. So market would look at the forward inputs like kitna order inflow abhi mila hai. So for example, recently the ABB stock price went up because the global ABB presentation shared that the India order inflow growth is 1%. Abhi 1% order inflow growth pe stock chal gaya. Ideally to बुरा number है, right? But the point is that market was not prepared to even see 1% order inflow growth. Probably market was looking at negative order inflow growth YOY. So now the market will look at a very selective basis. So पूरा infra, पूरा capital goods, पूरा capex, पूरा PSU नहीं चलेगा. जहां जहां पे भी आपके ग्रीन शूट्स दिखते हैं, विजिबिलिटी बेटर होती जाती है और वैल्यूएशन से रीजनेबल है, वहां वहां पे पैसा बनता जाएगा. तो मैंने एक एग्जांपल दिया एबीबी का, डोंट टेक इट एज एडवाइस, बट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू गिव यू अ पर्सपेक्टिव इज दैट मार्केट में जो सेक्टर पहले बहुत चले होते हैं वो सेकंड टाइम की तेजी में उतना जरूरी नहीं है कि उतना तेजी से पार्टिसिपेट करें. तो ये जो सारे पॉकेट्स है ना वो हो चुके हैं और आप क्लियरली देख सकते हो कि पिछली तेजी में बीएफएसआई बिल्कुल पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया था. ये तेजी का वो विनर रहा है. तेजी इन द सेंस जो रिकवरी आया है नीचे से. सो माय सेंस इज दैट ये पॉकेट्स जो है कैपिटल गुड्स, इंडस्ट्रियल, इंफ्रा, रेलवे, डिफेंस, वहां पे सिलेक्टिव आपको देखना है. कुछ कुछ चीजें अच्छी निकलेगी, पैसा भी बनेगा, बट डोंट थिंक दैट कि ये पूरा सेक्टर जबरदस्त चलेगा और बहुत ज्यादा पैसा बनेगा. वो टाइम चला गया. आई डोंट थिंक सो. एनी मोर क्वेश्चंस एनीवन? Sorry, I'm down with some throat infection, so I had to take a break and but I'm still able to answer. I'm fully prepared for it. My throat is still supporting me. So please don't get shy. Quick questioning, keep asking me your questions. I would be very happy to answer it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think anyone is still left with any questions. I think we have tried our best to answer most of the questions. Just to summarize it, this is a market. Basically, it is a market of buy on dips. As and when you see the juicy levels closer to 22,000 or 22,000 and below, go very aggressively long. We don't think that we are going to fall again for the same reason. The reason has to be far different than the present reason. That's the conclusion. Earnings are gradually going to come back Q1 onwards. It is not going to be broader market rally. It will be selective rally. It will be driven by institutions and not by retail. And the selection, stock selection and portfolio construction has it will become even more imperative and important. So with that, I would just like to conclude the presentation and this session. I thank everyone for patiently hearing me. Thank you so very much.